One day my Aussie friend said to me, "Just put it on the hills." This is so weird. Oh, they meant that Hills. The Hills Hoist. The clothesline. From my research, I've learned that Aussie English is shaped by how people live, by the weather, the land, and the way that we make ourselves at home. So why do Aussies talk about living the way they do? And what can it tell us about life in Australia? Let's find out. Aussie homes and the weather have contributed a lot to our evolving language. Life in Australia can be harsh and very different around the continent. In Northern Territory, there is no winter, only various degrees of summer year-round. To a newcomer, Australian seasons may not make much sense. These European seasons are another example of Australians imposing European words and ideas on Australia, and these words don't quite capture what's happening here. Words like summer and winter may account for how the Earth moves, but they don't account for the Australian climate. When flowers bloom, when crops should be harvested, or the best time to do controlled burns of bushland. Australia's Indigenous people had at least a 60,000-year head start in observing Australia's natural world. Many of Australia's Indigenous people had their own calendars, stretching from 2 to 6, or by some accounts, 8 seasons. These Indigenous seasons rely on observable natural events, so a season might last a few weeks or many months. Aussies interested in these seasons should check out their local Indigenous sources of knowledge. But whatever you call it, living here means getting used to constantly changing weather, putting your clothes out to dry on a Hills Hoist in the bright sun, only to have them get rained on 20 minutes later. The Hills Hoists have been in Aussie backyards since the mid-20th century, and you might hear Aussies referring to any clothes drying by the same name. In 1945, Sherry Hill was upset with how the traditional pulls and line method of drying clothes was interfering with her garden plan. Her husband Lance came up with this contraption. We use it for laundry, for party games, and we may even do the very Aussie thing of shortening the name just to call it a Hills. Like the weather and the spinning Hills Hoist, Aussies are proud of our ability to change and adapt as well as work hard. One of the most iconic words is the swagman or the swaggy. You might know the swagman from the song Waltzing Matilda.
Once a jolly swagman camped by the billy bong.
Through the early history of the 19th and 20th century Australia, men traveled around looking for work carrying a swag, with everything they owned rolled up in a blanket. The blanket roll was sometimes called a Matilda, and the lonely swaggies might cuddle up with their Matilda after a long day of waltzing, or roaming from place to place looking for work and food. It's probably our informal outdoor Barbies that set a precedent for Aussies arriving late at a party. If the party is at a park or a casual get-together at someone's house, the time is often a suggestion of the earliest we will be ready. If the party is more formal or held at a big venue like a restaurant, which requires reservations, you might be expected to arrive on time. Aussies will take any excuse to get together and have a yarn. The word yarn probably started off as a nautical term. From the mid-19th century, everyone in Australia and New Zealand began to view a yarn as a bit of a talk or chat. Yarning has an even more specific meaning for many Indigenous people. Since at least the 1980s, many Indigenous people have held yarning circles as a place for conversation or storytelling, with an emphasis on creating a safe and culturally appropriate space for sharing knowledge. Whether you hear it called having a chinwag or having a yarn, in Australia there are many opportunities to share our stories and experiences in a welcoming place and listen to what they have to say. It's a great part of our Aussie culture, along with being flexible and gathering together. From surviving extreme climates to inventing the Hills Hoist, Australians' living conditions have shaped the way that we speak. Whether we're trying to invent better ways to cope with the weather or having a yarn with friends, we keep sharing everything from food to stories. It's wonderful that everyone from locals to migrants can be part of shaping and sharing this Aussie way of life.